Hi everyone, welcome to this channel. My name is Teresa, I am 18 years old, and this is technically my first video. I've done a couple before, but they were all complete full of nonsense, so I'm happy you didn't see them. Well, anyway, I am an absolute bookworm. I love books. I read anything I can get my hands on, basically, and so I thought, why not do a book review of a book I just read a couple days ago that I found very interesting and I thought I would share with you. The book is called The Uninvited by Jensen, and I had never heard of this book before. I just found it completely by chance, and I thought the cover was very intriguing because there's all these children on there, and it said in the synopsis that this was supposed to be a psychological thriller, and you know, children and thriller, I think, are probably usually the result of that equation is absolute creepiness, at least in my opinion. I think that children and dolls are the creepiest things in this world. Let me just say something about the book. It is about an apocalypse. And this apocalypse basically starts with a little girl killing her grandmother. That incident is viewed as completely isolated, and yeah. But over time, things like that start to happen all over the world, and a lot of children attack their family, and they kill family members, and sort of a mass hysteria breaks out. At the same time, what also happens is that people, seemingly random people, start to sabotage their own companies. Well, basically companies that are very capitalistic and that are very profit driven and don't care about anything else. And after they committed these sabotages, all of them killed themselves. The protagonist of the book is a man called Hesketh Locke, and he's supposed to find out what's happening with all these companies. But then he sort of finds out that these incidents are connected to all these children killing their family. That's about what happens in this book. Now, to my opinion, I'm gonna start there. Obviously, as with any book, there are pros and cons, and I think I'm gonna start with the cons. Number one, for me, my number one con is that I don't actually like apocalyptic stories. I was not aware that this was gonna be an apocalyptic story. I thought it was only gonna be a thriller. Number two, the protagonists are essentially of no consequence to the storyline. They inquire into what's happening. They try to find what's going on, but there's nothing, not one point in the story where they're interfering in any way. I guess that most apocalyptic stories could actually be like that. I don't know. This was the first book on an apocalypse that I've ever read, but I should like to think, well, but I think it's not too far-fetched to assume that a lot of books, that the characters don't have a lot of influence, but that's something I just don't like. I want the protagonist to not just stand idly by and watch things happen. Also, there's a ton of stuff that's not explained in this book. Spoiler alert. The children develop, they are genetically somewhat altered, and we don't know how that happened. We don't know what's going on. At one point he just says, oh yeah, they have different DNA, and I'm like, what? Huh? What's going on? And also all of them crave salt, so they're like, they have extra, most of them have extra kidneys in order to be able to process that salt. But why do they need, what's, I don't know, that's something that happens, that shows up all the time. There's something they talk about a lot in the storyline, and I thought, all the while while I was reading it, I thought, you know, in the end, wait for it, in the end that's gonna be super important, and I don't know, when I finished it, I was so disappointed, because I felt like that was so unnecessary, wasn't it? I don't know. If you've read the book, tell me, please. Okay, so that's it for the cons. On to the pros. I really, really like the protagonist. He suffers from Asperger's syndrome, which makes it very difficult for him to interact with other people, so he's very, socially incompetent, I want to say. But he's also so sweet and so likable, I think. I thought he was really great. He's very honest. I don't know a lot about Asperger's syndrome, so I don't know if that's just that comes with this disease, but he doesn't lie. He speaks his mind immediately. Like, he says all the time what he's thinking, exactly what he's thinking, and he doesn't give a damn about politeness or anything like that. He just speaks his mind, and he's so honest and so open, and that just upsets a lot of people. And so sometimes I'm just like, oh, poor him, because when people reject him and when they frown upon him, and I don't know, but in general, I don't know, I find that very endearing for some reason. I find him a very, very, very likable character. But one little thing that I did not like about him, and that's the way that he sort of reacted to this whole situation with his stepson, Freddie. So Freddie turns out to be one of these children that sort of are that are different, that try to kill people and whatnot. And so he basically turns into a different person. He acts differently. He stops speaking entirely. And he eats weird animals, like he catches moths and worms from the ground. I'm going off on tangents, not my intention. But what I wanted to say is that he basically turns into a different person. When someone turns into a completely different person, it's as if he isn't there anymore, right? So why is he so unfeeling towards the situation? I don't get it. I mean, maybe that's part. Well, he does mention a lot of times that he's not emotional at all, that he hardly feels anything. But I mean, that's the person he loves the most in the whole wide world. That person turns into someone completely different, and he's not even a little sad about it. But I do have to say that what I also really liked about the book was that general relationship between Hesketh and his stepson. I thought that was very, very sweet. The way they connected, and the way you really could tell that they loved each other. But even though Hesketh has like social problem, and like he has trouble being sociable and stuff, that Freddie can really accept him the way he is, and that he really makes the most of it. And I thought that was very, very sweet. I really, really like the way that relationship works, and the way you get to see like little things they do together, and the way they talk to each other. What I also like is the idea of sort of the world. Well, what's really big and what's really comes out at the end is that the apocalypse itself is actually a good thing. That the apocalypse is actually sort of, it has to happen in order to preserve humanity. In order to enable humanity to persist, the life as we know it has to be destroyed. So we all know the stories of, you know, nature acting up, and people dying, and worlds ending, but I think what's so unique about this book is that the reason for all that happening is to actually ensure that we can continue to exist, which is, I think, a very, very different take on the whole idea. That's it, and on the whole, I will give this book 3 out of 5 stars. If you have read this book and you disagree or agree with me, please leave your comment down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about it. And yeah, I'm gonna talk to you soon. Thanks for watching this video. Bye!